Go.
Oh, yeah.
You're good. We're recording.
Are we? Oh, okay. Alrighty. Hi guys. I just got back from my second tour. I don't know if you can call it that. My second time going to First Steps to Success with Annie Johnson. Allison went with me last time, and this time I went alone, which was kind of sad, but I met up with a friend there who's not in our organization. So I guess I can't say I completely went alone. I went with the mindset that I was going alone, and you get there and you stand in line, and when you the seat that you get is like your seat for the whole day. So when you go to lunch and breaks and stuff, you don't sit in a new seat, which is, it's kind of comforting, but then it kind of puts a little bit of stress on you because you want to make sure that you get a decent seat when you get there. So you got to, like, you get in line and they make a big deal out of it. So anyway, my mindset when I got there was, hey, if I'm going by myself, I can go and sit in the front row and, you know, sit in one of those single seats, and it's not a big deal. But I ended up sitting with my girlfriend that I knew from when we were in St. Louis at the seminary, and I partnered with her and we sat together, and it was just so nice to have somebody else there with me, but it wasn't necessary because, you know, you kind of side chat with the people that are next to you and everything else. But I have a notebook from when I went in October, and I have a notebook from when I went this weekend, and they're chocked full of information, and I know I'm not going to be able to cover all of it, so I'll just get started. What I want to mention is I noticed that she follows the same outline. Let me know if my kids are too loud in the background. Just kind of give me a heads up or something and say, okay, too loud. But I noticed that she follows the same outline each time. She meets every 6 weeks. So she meets in January. I think it was January, was it February? It's basically the same time as the Young Living Rallies, like the same weekend as the Young Living Rallies is what we're finding out. And you don't know the next location until the Sunday of the current day. So the next one is going to be in Ohio. It's in Cleveland. And the early bird registration is until Friday, I want to say like 4 o'clock Central Time, I think is what it is. So just getting that out of the way because I'll probably forget. And Penny is planning on going, from what I understand. She's not on yet. So I'm pretty sure that Penny's planning on going, and I know there was a group of people that from the Essential Sensibilities team that were also talking about going. So she follows the same script, but based on, she'll send out an email beforehand and ask for people's suggestions as to what they would like to hear. And then based on what she finds, gets she reads those emails and kind of bases her information. She bases her information that she covers on those emails that she gets back. So this time around, we had quite a few moms who were there who their business was managing their home. And so she covered and talked more about, not more, but, well, she did. She talked, included more about how you can raise your kids and to be successful, to be successful when they're adults. And she talked about, different things that relate to moms, which was good for me too, since I have 5 kids and my kids are home with me and we homeschool. So that was an extra bonus for me this time that we didn't get last time. But the outline changes, like I said, based on who's there and what the interests are.
Sorry.
I have a list here that I created of different types of people that were there. Let me see if I can find it. Of course, when you're looking for something, there we go. So there were personal trainers, there were financial advisors, there were different makeup artists, there were network marketing people, real estate contractors, landscape people, hairdressers, small business owners, people who actually have storefronts, tons of different, those were just the people that asked questions that actually shared what they do. Tons and tons of people from all different walks of life. So when you get there, you kind of, you sign this information thing that says, I'm not going to talk about my business. I'm not going to share and try and recruit across the board. You're there. It's a free, comfortable zone. And you don't have to worry about somebody coming up to you and selling their stuff to you. So unless you specifically ask the person sitting next to you what they do or why, what they're there for, you don't really know. And it's really kind of a comfortable area to be in. We did at the end find a bunch of the Young Living people, which was kind of cool to talk to them and hear their stories. There was one gal who was there who just went on the cruise, and she was invited. She was the invited guest of Krista Smith. And this gal lives in the area. She lives in Torrance area, but she recruited to executive in like 21 days or something. It was super fast. And so Krista contacted her and took her on the cruise. She had like 2 weeks notice, and they just went on the cruise together. And so she was talking about all the people that she met on the cruise, and it was really, really kind of cool to hear her talk. And it was just a small group of us that were talking. So the first stuff that Dani Johnson starts out with, it's a 3-day thing. And she started out and talked about how there's the 98% of people who are dead or broke by the age 65. And then there's the 2% that are financially independent. And everybody says that they want to be in that 2%, but most people won't do what it takes to get there. So she kind of uses that as her basis the whole time and talks about being the 98%ers and the 2%ers, and that she's focused on getting all of us to the 2%. Did she wear the Sharpie? No, she did not wear the Sharpie colored belt, but she did wear shoes that she said were 20-some years old. And then she had shoes on that were like this heel. Oh my gosh, they were incredible. So she talks about how she's very frugal, and her clothes, the stuff that she still fits into are, super duper old, and her story is amazing. If you guys don't know anything about Dani Johnson, just a brief overview as to who she is. She was raised in a family of drug addicts, and she was physically and mentally abused and sexually abused. Her stepdad molested her, and she just had a horrible upbringing. And she got pregnant when she was 19, I think she said. I don't remember exactly the age. She got pregnant when she was really young, and there's a whole story that goes with that. And then she gave her daughter up for adoption, and then she tells a little bit more of her stories at different times too. Allison, her sister and her dad were both there, like her real dad were there this time too. So that was kind of cool to see them. And the boys were there, her 2 younger boys. So it's like a family thing. And she has 5 kids, and they're all older. Her youngest is 19, I think. And just to hear their stories and what she's been through. But then she got married to this guy, and he cheated on her, and he left her, and he went to Australia and left her, and in the process had taken all of her money. She was embezzled, and he upped her credit card limits, and she had like $3 to her name, and she was living in her car because she couldn't pay her rent. And she went from living in her car in Hawaii to building up her business, and she's a millionaire and doesn't take any money from her first steps to success from her Smarter Networker company. She has different companies. She has a couple different companies, and she takes absolutely no paycheck from Smarter Networker. And everything that she would have earned, she donates to another organization that they run that builds homes in Nicaragua. Amazing lady. So she's definitely in that top 2%, right? So she talks about how the 2 different groups view life, and how the 98%ers don't have a vision for their life. And then she goes more into it, but she talks about how when you're growing, whether it's leadership or Sarah, you're on now. Whether it's leadership or it's life in general or whatever, the growth a little bit later too, but I thought that was a good line. You can either live by excuses, or you can take the opportunities, those same things that are happening to you, and you can make them either excuses, or you can turn those disadvantages into advantages. And that's what the 2%ers do, is they turn all that junk that's going on in their life and turn that into the advantages. And she obviously has done that with her life. You know, if you're living out of the backseat of your car, you find out you can either make excuses and you can live on the street for the rest of your life. And, you know, poor me, I've had all this stuff happen to me, and there's no way that I'm going to make it. You know, I grew up in a house with druggies, and I'm just destined to be a druggie, or I'm not going to let this happen to me, and I'm going to do everything that I can to get out of it and do that. So it's all a mindset thing. She says, a man without a vision has no vision. So what's your vision? You know, for me, my vision is my kids and my future, you know, that kind of thing. So I guess my family, not just my kids. I guess my husband is included in that as well. He didn't hear me say that, so I'm okay, right? She continues to talk about the 98%ers, about not living only for your happiness, but living for enthusiasm. And when you let fear take over, it kind of takes the excitement out of your life as well. And she talked a little bit about fear. Oh, and as a preface, so she was down at LAX. So depending on traffic, now I'm talking LA traffic here, it could take 2 or 3 hours to get to LAX, or it could take 45 minutes to get to LAX. So I went down on Saturday, and it took me about 50 minutes to get down there. And I came home, stayed down there Saturday night because it was a late night. So I stayed with my friend Tammy, and we stayed at the hotel. And then I went home Sunday night, and it took me about an hour and 10 minutes to get home.
Wow.
Sunday night, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it was. And then I went down Monday morning in the traffic, and it only took me about an hour and 20 minutes, and then came home in major traffic, and it took me a couple hours to get home last night. But I'm only telling you that because I took the advantage of that, and I listened to an Audible book, and I listened to Ula, which falls into line so well with what she's doing, and their 7 F's. I don't know how well you guys know Ula, but they have their 7 F's in creating your Ula life, which is like your ideal life. And so they talked about fear in the Ula book, and they talked about so much of the same stuff that Danny talked about, but kind of just from a different perspective, some of it was. So it was really cool to hear that all at the same time as I was engrossed in Danny Johnson too. So that was like an extra bonus for me. Let's go back to my notes. Okay, so I'm being distracted by the noise over there. I'm hoping you guys don't get distracted by that. Don't take no for an answer. Oh, okay. So she was talking about persistence, and she was talking about her grandson who is there. She watches her grandson a couple days a week, and her grandson really wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he was like, "No, I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." And she said, "In a half hour." And he came back and he goes, "No, I'm really hungry. My belly really wants a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." And then he kept coming back in like different angles. He was like really persistent. And I'm sure those of you who have kids or even grandkids, right, Carol, can relate to that. They are persistent, and they don't let no be no. And she just encouraged us to do that as we're building our business. You know, don't let that no get in your way and be like, oh, okay, they said no, so now I'm afraid to call the next person. And that, because no's are so easy. That happens to me. You know, so pick up the phone and make your care calls and make your follow-up. Don't allow fear to hinder you from your success. We are born with persistence and enthusiasm. We just lose it over time. Quit talking yourself out of living. So that kind of goes with the fear of it all. What you believe is what you will receive. So, you know, if you believe that the person's going to say no, and if you believe that you can't do it, you believe that you can't make the phone call, you know, whatever it is that you're having problems with, that you have the fear of, whatever that is that's in your head is what you're going to believe, and that's what's going to be projected as you talk to that person. So even as you're closing, and I don't even think this is at that part yet, but even as you're closing and you're trying to share somebody, share the end part with somebody and the opportunity. If you have in your head that it's too expensive, then that's what's going to come across, and that's what's going to be projected as you're sharing. And like, because that's your fear, so if your fear is that, I don't know, for me, it was always money. So that's the one that I wrote down, but there's so many different fears that you could have as to why the person doesn't want it. Of course they don't want it, but if you have in your head whatever it is that their need is, so if their need is their kids because their kids are sick all winter long, or if you know that their need is they want to get the chemicals out of their home, or whatever it is, you keep that in your head as you're sharing with them, and then that's going to come across as what your goal is and what's happening and just how you close and how you do all that. And I think that's really important for us to remember, that if you keep them and their goals and their focus in mind, then that's going to come across, and it's not going to seem like you're trying to sell something. It's going to seem like you're trying to share and help them reach their goals, because that's what your goal is. That's what's in your head. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was one thing she shared, and I don't even think I'm to that point yet. So act out according to your belief. What you believe is what will happen. So she's still here talking about you, so do the opposite of what the world does. So if the world is telling you that you're not going to be able to succeed, how many people have you come across? What? Oh, well, I don't know. Go ask Daddy. I thought he was coming to give me a kiss goodnight. Obviously not. He was asking me about his clothes that they're in there folding right now. But if your fear is, or if your belief is that you're going to succeed, then that's where you're going to be. But if your belief is your fear and you're letting your fear get a hold of you, then the fear is going to win. Or if your fear, or if your belief is that, I don't know, society it focuses on our looks, and society focuses on money, and society focuses on so many things that are, they're negative in so many things, but focus on the positive and focus on where you want to be. And that's where you're going to get. We are a product of our environment. So our environment, that's our parents, it's society, it's politics, it's the workplace. So there's so much negative out there. There's so much telling us that you can't achieve, that if you feed yourself with positive and you're listening to, you can be listening to Sarah Harnish go through a game plan. You can listen to Danny Johnson with tons of free stuff on the website. You can be listening to the stuff that's on Operation Silver Boot Camp, Darren Harding. There's so much opportunity and so many good things to listen to. The ULA book, any of that kind of stuff. If you need suggestions, let me know, and I can give you suggestions or help you find stuff, whatever works best, whatever is your interest. But if you just feed your brain with that, then that's the stuff that's going to be going on in your brain. But if you feed your brain with the stuff that's going in the 98% of the world, so all the people telling you no, and the people that are politics, the people that are, so much that's going on that's negative. If that's what's in your head, then that's what's going to come out. But she said that when she was in that environment, she 24/7 had replayed on her boombox, because that was back in that day. She had positive personal improvement stuff playing all the time that helped her through it. And she said in her case, she had to have it going even as she was sleeping, because if she woke up in the middle of the night, she wanted to make sure that her brain was thinking that and not turning to that, because she just endured so much in her life. She wanted to retrain her brain. Because I'm sure you guys probably aren't as messed up as me, so you might not need it as much, but if you're messed up, you're going 24/7, because it's just going to be positive reinforcements as to what's in your head. We do what we are trained to do, and you need to be strategic. So if you're hearing that positive stuff, you're going to be strategic, and that's what's going to come out. So even think about your kids. and how you talk to them. I know that there's times that I get really gripey at my kids, and that's the stuff that's then coming out of their mouths too. You know, you can hear the negative coming out of their mouths, and you're like, "Ooh, you just heard that from me." So who are your mentors? She talks a little bit about the mentors. Do my mentors have my best interest in mind? So tune in to mentors that are going to help me get where I want to go. So I, listed down some people that were mentors, and I actually looked in my notebook from October, and I have a big question mark by mentors. And I remember trying to think, who are people that I want to be my mentor? Who do I want to, gear what I'm doing after? And this time around, I was able to come up with some mentors, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense as to why that person is my mentor. So it was kind of funny though, because one of my mentors was sitting right next to me. And that's, I put on my team page the other day that everybody has their own stuff going on. And so Tammy is one of my mentors. And I always think, people always kind of put their best foot forward, right? This kind of isn't really talking about what she's talking about here, but it made me think about it. You kind of see only the stuff that person wants you to see. And just being with her for 2 days. I'm going to pick on her because she's not ever going to see this. There was certain stuff that I had in my head made her even higher than she was, so the thing that stands out in my mind is her toothpaste. So I think of her as being like totally toxin free, and that she would at least have Tom's toothpaste, right? Because she's only been with Young Living for a couple of months. So I don't necessarily expect her to have Young Living toothpaste, but at least something that's not, because it's Tammy and that's just what I expect. She had good old Crest sitting there on the counter, and I was like, oh, she's normal. She's a normal person. She's still working through this process like the rest of us are. She hadn't gotten there yet. So that was cool, for me to see. Anyway, and Danny also, there's certain personalities. I have a hair that is stray that I can't figure out where it's at. There's certain personalities, there is no way that they are going to let you see their weaknesses. Danny is, now she told us last time that she was yellow, that she was a pearl. This time she said that she was emerald, so she's green, which means she is the same thing as me. Which means if Danny can do it, I can do it. That's what I got out of it. So not a ruby red. It is possible, you guys. Anybody can do this. There is leadership in all the different colors, so you can do this. Even the blues, right, Allison? There's the Melissa Peppings and the Jim Bobs out there. So, who are your mentors, and what are they telling you? And tune into the stuff that's going to help you get to where you want to be. Never stop learning. 2% surround themselves with people that are better than them. So if you surround yourself with people where you're at the top and they're all lower than you, those are the 98 percenters. And those are the people that you're going to be hanging out with, and you're just going to be you're going to be like the upper echelon of the 98%. But if you surround yourself with that 2% people, then you're striving to get to that 2%. Does that make sense? So I thought that, and so if you don't have that 2% around you, then you listen to it and you keep feeding your brain with all that kind of stuff. Even the ULA guys were like, she says here, speak from experience, and if you don't have that experience, then you speak to their experiences from their failures. And the ULA guys were saying that too. The ones like, I totally experienced all of this, and please learn from my experiences because I did it all, and I did it all again and again and again, and I did it bad. So please don't do it so that you don't have to experience what I experienced for you. Do my mentors have the life that I want? Learn from those who want what I want. And you can use those 7 ULA, those 7 Fs, your faith, family, finance, friends. I just read Amanda's comment. Don't forget about Matt. I'm reading the comments, sorry. And I remember what I was saying. Oopsies. Let me go back to my note. Oh, the 7 Fs. So faith, finance, family, friends, fun, field, and I'm missing one. Fitness. Did I say fitness? Fitness, I think, is the last one. So, trying to get all of those in line. And what's your, who are your mentors that have those kinds of things that you can hear? And you know what? Mentor-wise, they don't have to, you can have one mentor that's good in this area that you need to work on, another mentor that's good in this area that you need to work on. No excuses. So then she went into the 4 work habits that you need. And if you can get these 4 work habits, that's what you need to succeed. So no excuses. Excuses are just well-planned out lies. So what are your excuses for not succeeding? Write those down and come up. There's always a way that you can take an excuse to, what did I say at the beginning? I don't remember. I don't remember. It's already out of my brain. I'll find it later. I want to spend my time flipping through there. But, if you take your excuse and you overcome that excuse, nobody actually really wants to spend time with people who have nothing but excuses come out of their mouth. I don't know. You may or may not know people that always have excuses. It's really not fun. I have some kids that always come up with excuses. And I know certain people, and it's like, you know what, just get past your excuse and find a way to get through it. Easier said than done, right? The second one is opinions and suggestions. So actually, I think I have some of this good stuff written down. This is all still day 1, you guys. This is just the second part of day 1. No, it's not. It is still the before lunchtime on day 1. So much information. Anyway, keep your opinions and suggestions to yourself. Unless you're in that top 2%, you don't know what you're talking about. So keep your suggestions and your opinions to yourself and listen to the people that do know. Please be quiet in there. Be careful about who you take advice from. She said, don't take advice from the janitor. People have advice to give, but you don't, you need to pay attention to who you're taking it from. You're only going to do what you already know without getting personal development. You're not going to learn something different. So if you don't take advice from somebody else that knows something different, you're going to continue to do what you're doing. The third one, follow directions, which means don't change the script. If the script is there, follow the script. And it also takes away the fear of knowing what to say. Just do it. Just read the script. She even says, and it's not even in this part of my notes, and I've heard Amanda Friedel say this too. Follow the script, read the script, and Amanda says she purposefully makes mistakes when she's following the script, because then people look at it and say, well, gosh, if Amanda messed up, then I can do this, right? So if you mess up and you're reading from the script, it's possible for anybody to do it. And she said, read from the script. It's okay. That's what you're supposed to do. And I'm always like, oh, I need to know it. But that doesn't mean that you don't read the script yourself beforehand and prepare. And I'm not even there yet. Okay, so anyway, I'm still on follow directions. Don't change it. If you want quick success, quit thinking and just do it. No excuses, no opinions, follow directions. Surround yourself with those who are successful and invest in yourself. So that's number 4, personal development. So invest in yourself, read books, attend seminars, go to trainings, listen to audio, whatever works best, for you that you can afford to do, whatever. Convention is awesome. I highly, highly, highly suggest convention. Even Danny Johnson says you need to go to your conventions. So I say that, and I'm not going to convention this year. So I kind of feel like a hypocrite saying that, but go to convention. And I don't know, Allison, if you have a chance to chime in, maybe you remember this. When we first joined, there was a graphic that went around, and it was a bunch of gals that were just starting out. And it talked about how convention knocks off, I think, like 5 years of your learning curve just by attending convention. And those gals are all now like diamonds and Royal Crown diamonds. Do you remember that? Wasn't it like Christy Dempsey and Nicole Perez?
Nicole Perez was. Oh, let me walk away from the computer. Nicole Perez was a senior star at convention, and actually ended that month as an executive. And then I think she went.
Elena Bookout, I think maybe she was one.
Yeah, it was a group of them. They were all below senior star, I think. I mean, not below senior star, but below silver. And just the camaraderie and the cross line and whatnot that they had, and listening to Adam Green. Adam Green, I know everybody thinks that he's just the young and cute little guy that's at convention and whatnot, but he really, that man has a wealth of knowledge as far as financially and business-wise. So. Yeah.
And now, like, Nicole Perez is at least a diamond. How high is she? Do you remember? Do you know?
She's a diamond. She hasn't made crown yet, but she's diamond.
Yeah. So.
And in like a crazy short amount of time.
While having babies.
Yep, and moving and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, thank you. So anyway, Danny goes on to say that if I fail, it's because I left one of those 4 things out. No excuses, no opinions, follow directions, personal development. That's what you need to succeed. Spend time every day on learning something and making myself better. Still not to learn. Go back to the basics. Basics. So for us, basics class. And relationships. That's what I would say are probably our basics. And when we get comfortable with things, we kind of are like, and we get bored, we're like, oh, I'm going to try and reinvent the wheel and do something different. And I even find myself doing that right now. And she said that we need to go back to the basics, because the basics are what got you to where you are. The basics are what continue to bring in new people. And as I mentioned earlier, when you bring in new people, you have new excitement, new life, and that's when things happen. That's when stuff is going on. So if you keep sharing with people, Marcella Von Harding is the Royal Crown Diamond in our organization. Her upline is Young Living, because her upline was Mary Young. And Mary Young, when she got married to Gary, had to give up her organization. So they all became Young Living people. That's their support system. And so that's where Marcella is. And she still enrolls at least 4 people every month. Personally, she enrolls 4 people every month.
Wow.
Keeping it to the basics. It sounds easier than I think it really is, because I'm happy with 2 a month. And I still don't always get 2 people a month. But the basics are where it's at. What you get in, what you put, she's talking about the reaping and sowing. You know, if you think back to the Bible story, if you kind of reaping and sowing versus blame, the more you put into people in relationships, the more you're going to get back out of it. She talked a lot about relationships, or at least a lot of my notes are based on relationships, because that's one of the areas that I'm focusing on. So as I looked through my notes earlier, I realized that a lot of it I'm working on and know that I need to work with. So you could have been sitting right next to me and written down completely different notes, because you have different things in your working on. I highlighted like 3 different times. What you give is what you're going to get back. Help people get what they want. So I highlighted, like I wrote it down like 3 or 4 different times and highlighted each time as I went through and said, oh, they need to know this. Obviously, I think you need to know that. I think I need to know that. She talks about ego quite a bit. And if you let your ego get in the way, I'm not going to talk about that too much, but I did have notes in my other one about ego. If I am waiting, or I'm sorry, I have an ego problem when my ego thinks that the world revolves around other people. So for instance, one thing I wrote back in October is if I'm waiting for my leaders to change and waiting for other people to do this for me, then it's my ego problem. And because I think that the world revolves around me, right? So I need to put my focus on helping others succeed. And that in turn is going to help me succeed and not put the focus on me. So this is just an example of an ego issue. Even as you're sharing with people, is your focus on you getting new teammates and getting the referral bonus, or is your focus on helping that person achieve health? And what's the best way for them to achieve health? Maybe the best way for them to achieve health is the basic membership and the thieves cleaning kit, right? So you can do that. They can get the thieves cleaning kit and they can get a basic membership, and that's not going to get you the full bonus. So you're not, it's not going to benefit you as much, but are they getting what their needs and where they are right now? Maybe. So there's, it depends on helping people find the best way. Katrina and Darren's did when they started with the basic kit, and I don't recommend the basic kit, but there's definitely people that need that basic kit. They started on the basic kit and then got on ER right away and worked toward building their stash with a monthly, because that's what they could afford. I still think the premium starter kits are by far the best way to get started, because as Sarah Harnish even says, it's the only thing in our product guide that's 50% off. So if they want the best value, that is by far the best way to do it, but that might not be the best for them. So sit down with them and find out, or even if you are focusing on the starter kits, which starter kit is best for them. Maybe they don't need the oils and diffusers because they already have a diffuser, and their mind is that they don't need oils. They still have their other ones, but they need a toxin-free home. Well, Thieves is a really good kit for them, where they need to boost their wellness line like now and boost it fast. Well, Ningxia is going to help them get there. So, talk to people and find out what their need and their goals are. And they're going to feel, because obviously then when you're thinking about it and when you're presenting that to them, they're going to feel that you care about them and you're working toward the best goals for them. And they're going to be more likely to not feel like they're being sold to. Isn't that what so many people's concerns are, is that they're being sold to, and that your concern is that you're selling, right? So if you have in your head that you feel like you're selling the oils, then that's what's going to come across. But if you have in your head, I'm here to help you and find out what's best for you, then that's what's going to come across. That was really eye-opening to me when I learned that. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense. She got in a lot on the ego, because then there's an activity that you do to help you get rid of your ego and address where your ego is. And I'm not even going to get into that because there's just so much here. So I'm going to skip over to that. At lunchtime, she had us talk about, or like kind of journal and figure out, oh my gosh, I have so much. What did we have to journal? Sorry. Okay. If I cannot fail, what is my vision for my future? So I did 5 years from now. So if I can't fail in 5 years, where am I going to be? And I went over those the values, the 7 F's from ULA. And if I can't fail, where am I going to be in those areas? And that was kind of, a good way to help me figure out what my vision is for where I'd like my family to be. Then we came back at lunchtime and we talked about our vision. If you're not failing, you're not taking risks, she says, when you're starting your business or anything. So typically people fail because they don't follow the directions. She says, take the risk better than her and fail better than her. Risks give you solutions, of what doesn't work. I don't want to go too long, and I have so much to do, so much to cover. Okay, things that you want to do. I think it's 7 of them. Write these down, and then we can go into more detail later if you have questions. But you want to increase your exposure. You want to interview people, and that goes into form and oh my gosh, I totally lost the other one, but we'll get into that in a minute. You going to bed?
Oh,
thank you.
there's the kiss.
The kiss I was expecting earlier.
Yep.
The interview goes into the form. Then you do your presentation and your close. Then you have your follow-up. You mobilize is number 6, which is kind of like your on-the-job training. So your personal development. Number 7 is duplication. Number 8 is leadership development. And she spends the next day and a half, at least, going over those 8 things. And so there's no way that I can share all of that with you. We would have to get on another Zoom and just talk solely about those 8 things. It's amazing. But she goes over them, and between my 2 times that she talked, she gave different tips and different things. 2 things that I will mention quickly on those, and then we'll move forward. Personal references. So you want to, that she asked, okay, so how many of you, she's been on so many different shows. She has a radio show. She's been on TV shows. She's been interviewed by people. She's just been all over the place. And she asked, so how many of you guys, your initial contact to me was from, Oprah, or from the different, she named all the different TV shows. 1 or 2 hands went up. And she said, how many of you are here because of a personal referral? And 99% of the hands went up. And so you think that it's because of social media, right? In our case, a lot of it is social media. You think that it's us posting on our Facebook page that's going to get people in there, but it's not. It is the personal relationships that you have with people. And even if you just think about the people that are in your organization and that if you have a personal relationship with the people that you are helping, and you help them get success from the oils that they have, that's going to in turn have them share with their friends. And even if they're not building a business, they're going to bring those people back to you. And so that's your referrals. That is what we need to focus on doing, is personal relationships, feeding into the people that are in your organization. They can just be somebody who's buying the initial kit, helping them use their oils so that they have success, and getting those referrals. That's where our focus needs to be. It wasn't that like a mind-blowing, oh my gosh, why are we not doing that?
Can I tell you the funniest thing real quick?
Yeah.
Today, so a person in my downline, I guess, was talking to a mutual friend of ours who called me today going, Sarah, I know you do Young Living, and so I just bought a kit from someone else, but our mutual friend, Julie, told me to call you about building a business. I'm like, what? So it cracked me up. I got the personal reference, but just in that, yeah, so I talked to her, but I was like, why didn't you ask me first?
Well, the gal that I was sitting next to, and you're going to lose them. There are people, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. So the gal that I was sitting next to almost joined our team in February, or in November. She almost joined in November, couldn't, because she had started the process in February of last year. So she had to wait 12 months before, like, she had started her enrollment process, and she had to wait. And in that couple month time period, she found out that there were people in her community where she lives that were silver and gold and had organizations. And so she started working with them and ended up joining their team instead. That was like, oh, I was so close. Like, jumped on board. She's only had her kit for a month, and she's like got 25 people in her organization already. She's like rocking it. And I'm like, oh, it's killing me. But she is where she needs to be. She's got an awesome, I met her upline, one of her uplines, and she's in an awesome group, and it's really good for her. And Rancho Cucamonga is kind of far from here, so it would be harder for her to get involved. But it does happen.
Yeah.
It happens.
Come on.
It does happen. But that means that it's happening to other people too, you know, so you're getting some of those people that, if you're not yet, you will.
Yeah.
So the other thing in that whole eight numbered thing that I wanted to go over with you is in the interview portion, and that could just be, or it's even in your exposure, but as you expose yourself, okay, I want to talk about exposure too a little bit, but as you expose yourself and then you're in line, let's say at Walmart, and you're just chatting up with somebody, you form them. So write down FORM. F stands for their family. That can include pets, because sometimes people consider their pets their family. Their occupation, what they do for fun, their recreation, that's the R. And then share the message is the M. And no, I don't know where that's at on here, but that's your form. So as you're having a conversation with them, you're kind of finding out information about where they live, what kind of family they have. Do they live near their family? You know, just find out things about their family. You find out what they do for a job, what they like to do, what they, you know, do they like, it could be anything, recreation, what do their kids do? You know, are they a soccer mom? Do they go camping? Do they like to hunt? Do they, anything, you know, church, any of that kind of stuff. So family, occupation, recreation, and then you can share based on what you learned about them, you can share your message. And then the next one is sign, and I'm going to tie this all together, hopefully. It's almost been an hour, I'm sorry. Sign is SIGN, their strength, what they're good at, their interests, their goals, and their needs. So depending on how long of a conversation, you can ask questions, and you don't, like, they can be asking you questions, and she even told us last time, not this time, but the time before, as you're chatting somebody up on Facebook and Messenger, you know, just getting to know them and starting conversations, you kind of go through and you ask them how things are going with their church or with their family or kids at school or whatever. And as they ask you questions, you kind of ignore the questions that come back to you and you ask them another question and keep the conversation going. Because people really like talking about themselves. They really do. And oftentimes they ask you questions to be nice, but they really like talking about themselves, or they might not even ask you a question. But those, once you learn all of that about them and you find out their need, then you can do one of two things. You can share your message with them and say, you know, depends on where you are, if you're on Facebook or if you're at the grocery store, but you can say, you know, I can't even think of an example if you're at the grocery store. But anyway, okay, so if you're chatting with somebody on Facebook, you could even say, you know, I have a class coming up. Would you be interested on learning more ways that you can have a toxin-free home, since that's something that came up that is something that they're working on, one of their goals. You kind of share your message then at the end. If you're talking to them, you can say, you know, when would be a good time for me to call you and share information about what my company has to offer, and not necessarily for you, but something that you might then be able to pass on that information to somebody else, or, you know, looking for the referrals. And the other thing is that if they are looking for makeup that doesn't have, that's, you know, natural makeup, and you know that there's other places out there, you can refer them to that. Or if you're looking for somebody who cuts hair and you know somebody that's a great hair cutter, so you refer them. It's okay that you're not referring them only to you, because what you refer and what you give out is going to come back. It's going to come back to you. The more you refer, the more people are going to think of you. So if, like, I have my hairstylist, I have no qualms about referring people to her, and she knows what I do, and she then can refer people back to me when people are sitting in her chair and they're talking about needing and wanting this and that she knows I can offer, even if she's not interested. Does that make sense? So it's like a two-way street. Come up with who your ideal customer is, and then find out where to find them. So that goes with your exposure. This was another enlightening thing to me. So who has similar customers to us. Sprouts, Whole Foods, chiropractors, massage therapists, you know, depending on who your customer is. For me, homeschool moms. So that's where I want to go to find other people. You know, originally she was talking about, you know, post offices and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't really. But then when she phrased it that way, I was like, oh my gosh, that is where our niche is, right? The people who are buying the green cleaning stuff are going to be going to Whole Foods, maybe to buy their stuff, or, you know, Trader Joe's. I don't know where you guys all live and what you have around you, but that's where your clientele is. So those are people that if you're standing in line checking out, you can, you know, strike conversation with. But that doesn't mean that at Walmart you're not going to find people who might be interested in what you have, or who might know people who have something that you have to offer. You know, they might have, oh my gosh, my best friend was just talking about that the other day. So it's all in the connections and the relationships. I was talking to somebody at the Y last week, and she saw my bag. So I have my Lucy bag, and she saw my oils, and she asked me a question. And our kids were in the shower, so that's the amount of time that we had, is we were washing our kids' hair and getting them in and out of the shower. Not very much time. And I didn't form her because it was before I went back to Danny, and I forgot about forming. So I didn't form per se, but I know a little bit about her. And we were just talking about oils, and I didn't see her last Thursday, and I saw her again today, just again as the kids were in the shower. And she goes, oh, and she asked me some more questions, and I got her phone number this time, and I didn't get it last time. I did get her name, and I wrote it down, and I gave her my card last time, but I didn't get her number. This time I got her phone number, and I sent her the Oil Ability half-hour class. I told her I would invite her to my next event, but that's not for another 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks, I think. And I didn't want her to have to wait that long. So I sent her the link tonight, and I told her I would see her at the Y on Thursday when we had lessons again. So that's our follow-up appointment. Probably at the showers again, right?
You sent her the audio link?
I did. I love that audio link.
I do too. Yeah.
She has more stuff coming up. Like this week, she's posting more.
I'm waiting for that video, she keeps saying.
Tonight.
It's tonight? That's the DVD?
Tonight is when you can buy them, and later in the week, she has more stuff that she's posting. So much good stuff here. Oh my gosh. Okay. People still send thank you cards. Send handwritten cards to people. That was big. She said that's huge. I mean, really, it is nice to get something in the mail, right? And okay, this is going to show you how bad I am. Carol, I showed these to you guys, 2 weeks ago? They're still sitting here. Oops. I just dropped my thing. So, okay, people skills. Oh my gosh, she goes over gems. Look at my notes. This is going over all the different color personalities. That's a whole nother call. Amazing stuff because that helps you figure out people. Time management, that's a whole nother call. War on debt. She's very similar to Dave Ramsey in the way that she does things, but this time she also talked about how to teach your kids because, like I said, she was talking about different things. She has a whole book out about, you smell like banana. Go wash your hands, please. She has a whole book that's on teaching your kids, and and it has a video and everything. So I want to get that at some point in time. If you be faithful with a little, you will be made ruler of much, much more. That one's kind of my, for me, it's my house. I keep complaining about the size of my house, but I can't keep my house clean. So God's not going to bless me with more space until I can keep what I have. I tell my kids that, my girls who are shoved into one room, there's 3 of them in there. And I'm like, Jay, you're not going to get more space until you can take care of what you already have. Yeah, I know, Mom. But also with your team, until you can, this one kind of spoke to me because I've always kind of focused on my house and the things that I want in my life. But until I can take care of the people that I have underneath me and I can have those relationships, I'm not going to be blessed with more because I can't handle what I already have. Facts tell, stories sell. So much good information. Then day 3 is on entrepreneurial. And one time she gave one whole topic on looking at your future and not turning around and looking at your past. And this time she talked about completely different stuff. Talked about your desire. She talked about continuing to grow. She talked about people are not duplicatable, but systems are. Dealing with the 98 percenters is draining, so you need to continue to feed yourself with the positive, with that 2%. Focus on your one targeted goal. Oh, this was good. So simple basics, I talked about this. The simple basics is where we need to keep going back. We make your money there, and then you need to stick with that. So that's the enrollment kits for us, and our focus, we need to be focused on one targeted goal. So that needs to be our focus, right? And then we need to increase exposure. We need to increase our conversions, which is our closing ratio. And she talks about tracking your closing ratio and how to increase your closing ratio. And then scalability, which is your duplication system. So for us, that's, right now, I think game plan is absolutely amazing. So you work with a couple people and you walk them through game plan and then teach them to do that. And I mean, game plan is just amazing. What about it?
I'm done with my sorting clothes.
Okay, go talk to Dad then. So much experience. Oh, talking about the price of things. What does Disney sell us? Tell me, what does Disney sell? Do they sell their expensive ticket? Because their ticket's super duper expensive. Do they sell their ticket, or how do they market themselves? Tell me.
Fun.
Right, they sell the experience, right? That's what Disney sells. So what's our experience?
Good help.
Are we selling starter kits? Or are we selling our experience? What do we have?
Yes.
Tell me, what kind of stuff is there? Talk to me.
I was distracted.
That's okay. So Disney sells their experience. They don't sell their ticket price, right? So they don't sell the fact that their ticket costs, I don't even know what it costs, $300 to go for one day. They sell the experience and how it's the happiest place on earth. If we stop selling our premium starter kit and we sell our experience, we sell our membership and what comes with our membership, right? We have amazing support groups. We have sell what your business has. There's enough people out there that are selling Young Living. What sets you apart? What is your team, your business? What do you have that nobody else can offer? Why do they want to sign with you?
I have, like you were saying before, with when you find something you like a hairdresser or summer camp or something, people know I'm going to not stop talking about it until it's time to actually do the thing. So I think people know, for me, I'm going to not just, stop talking about it. I'm not going to stop talking about it, period. So when people sign up, I'm going to say, hey, let's get crafty with it. What else can you do? Did you know this? So now here's a video, here's the craft, here's this. I'm going to keep researching because that's what I like to do. So that's what I'm trying to let people I know who get involved know that I'm going to keep researching, so they don't need to stress that they will do best if they research, but they can come to me, and even if I don't know the answer, I feel fine researching it for them or with them, or at Christmas time a friend of mine and I sat together making rollers for different ailments for her family, and I didn't know what half the stuff was. So that's what I'm trying to sell is support, a partnership, a friendship, with learning how to be as clean and fresh as possible.
Right. Yeah. So, we get to sell our usage group I don't know any other group that has a group like that. It's amazing. Right. So we have that and so much support and sideline support and everything that so many people don't have. And that sets us apart. There's so much that we have, individually and as a group that can set us apart. So that's what we need to focus on is our experience. It's more than just the $160 that they're putting into the kit. It's the experience of better health and learning ways to do different things that'll help improve them.
I just put like 3 people on my Facebook page. I said, you have until Thursday to enjoy this, but this is what you get with a membership through me is all this support and these tips. I said, but Thursday you're off. So here's a sneak peek. And
That's awesome.
If you like it, then here's the link.
She does talk about that. She talks about showing them what they can have and then taking it away.
Yeah. Going, oh, wasn't that fun?
That's good. That's good. You recruit kind of people that you are, your team environment, your team culture. You also want to make sure people feel valued as a member, no matter where they are in their membership. Make them feel valued. Referring, your focus, invest in a skill set. We talked about that. Forming. Yeah, so much stuff here. I could go on, and I've already talked for just over an hour, so I'm not going to talk your ear off anymore. But what kind of questions do you guys have that maybe I can answer or whatever? Any other questions?
I had one. I totally forgot it.
Nothing?
Sounds like fun. When's the next one?
July 8th in Columbus. Penny's going to go.
Oh. When's the next one within driving distance?
She hasn't been here for, I think, 4 years.
Oh.
She was down in San Diego. She was in San Diego before we went to Texas, so that would have been a year ago right now.
Yeah.
No, July. It was a year ago in July. She was in San Diego.
Yeah, because I thought she was in DC or Florida, one of those two.
Florida was after us.
Okay. Because she bounces back and forth across the map.
Yeah. So I think it was DC and then San Diego and then San Antonio, then Orlando, then Dallas. She lives in Florida, though. Keep that in mind. And then she came here, and next she's going to Ohio. And you don't find out where her next one is until that current event.
I really like how you said you get what, kind of like you reap what you sow, like you get what you put out there. Like if I tell my kids, you'll be fine in summer camp, nothing to worry about at all. Don't even think of the bears and the mountain lions. But if I say, but if you go, no big deal, call me later. You know, it's like you said, if you're in the back of your head constantly going, yes, I want you to.
That's what's going to come out.
Yeah, oils or groceries, you choose, because that's what, sometimes you feel. My hardest thing personally is the people around me who happen to have signed up, they don't want to do a business. I don't know why, because a few of them love their stuff and they keep ordering, but I just go, you can get this stuff paid for. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to. But they've given me permission to like put people under them. But I go, you would have fun with it. I don't know.
Fear.
Yeah.
But, and it's okay if they don't want to sell. That's okay. Because you still need people in your organization.
Mm-hmm.
You need those testimonies. You need those testimonies back.
That's true.
Do you have a question, Allison?
No, I just had a comment. As far as in response to the people don't want to sell, one of Amanda Friedel's largest legs, and actually one, her name escapes me right now, but the one lady that when Amanda and Brian left to go for the cruise, this woman held down the fort, and she really, pushed to
Wasn't it Julie?
Julie, but she didn't want to do the business, but she allowed Amanda to build under her quietly up to a certain point. Amanda needed it. And so that's something, I'm not going to coach you to do whatever, but it's something to think about, because ultimately it is your business.
Right.
So if they're ordering and you need a placeholder for 100 PV order, then you have to weigh the pros and cons of that.
So the gal that was there that I told you about that went on the global leadership cruise, her friend underneath her started building, and that got her encouraged enough to start building, and she built super duper fast. So, you know, by placing people under people and them getting an accidental paycheck, that could sometimes get encouraging, you know, if you start getting this paycheck just because you're putting an order in.
Yeah. No, Daddy took your jelly. Daddy took the jelly beans. Go talk to Daddy.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? It's amazing.
One of the connections that I made was something that I've been kind of watching and doing, where you're talking about, you know, help others with what's best for them, not necessarily what's best for you. And I don't know, I watched Night Goodyear on the EOC just yesterday or something, and she's talking all this Young Living history, and she gets to the end of the video and she makes a mention of thinking back, you know, all these years to her, I think it was her aunt or something that introduced her to Young Living in the first place, and she just started crying, like how thankful she was for that. You know, so often we get kind of caught up in thinking about you know, how to sell them a kid or how to do this, but just how emotional she was to say, you know, all those, like, you know, 14 or some years ago, someone took the time to care about me enough to say, hey, I think this is something that you would benefit from. I think this is something you should go check out, and it changed her life. And it was just,
I can think of people in your organization whose life you changed because you introduced oils to them. I know of people in your organization that I could name, and I think you probably know specific people that I'm talking about.
I know.
Because you took the time to share with them. And you didn't have that fear go, oh, I don't know, I don't want to share. I can't share that with them, right?
Right.
Somebody shared with me right at the beginning, and I don't remember where or, you know, what it was, but they're all adults. They can put on their big girl pants and say, no, they're not interested. That's okay, but let them make their decision for themselves rather than me making it for them. So invite them, share with them, and they say no, they say no, right? And build the relationship. Relationship. It's all about the relationships. And you don't always have to talk about Young Living all the time. You do need to talk about Young Living. They do need to know that you're the person that they want to come to, but it doesn't have to be your conversation all the time. And I have some of the Danny Johnson audios that maybe we can even, you know, like I know that they didn't record them because it's, you know, not really information that you can share, but they turned it on somehow. I'd have to find out how they did it. They being, I think Amanda was one of them that was doing it, sharing, but she put on the time secrets and had it play on like a Zoom. And then if you logged on, I think they went through Gems too, which I missed. I need to go through Gems, which is her color personalities. But they played the audio, and then you can, you know, or they played, you know, I don't know how she did it, but showed it, and then you could work through it. Somehow we could figure out how to do that too. If that helps at all. I have conditioning for success, profit skills, magnetic influence, and time secrets. I have the script book coming, and I have a couple other things that I want to get. Anyway, it's been a long time. We've been chatting. So if there's nothing else that you guys want to include or comment or ask questions, I'll let you go and continue your evenings, because I know it's late for some of you. Welcome. I hope that helps.
Thank
Tons of information. Share. All right. Thank you, Alex.